Welcome to Capture the Reps podcast, the podcast for fitness creatives by fitness creatives. Each episode, we will dive into techniques, strategies, and behind-the-scenes stories to help fast-track your career. Whether you're behind the camera or in front of it, this is the space to grow, create, and connect. Hit it, Sam. Ashley, so.
Is that what? Am I supposed to look at the camera too, or can I look at?
I mean, you can look wherever you want. Yeah, you can look wherever you want. I tend to look at the camera. Don't get me wrong. I love looking at myself, so I'll probably look at myself a little bit too. But obviously, do whatever you feel is best. I appreciate you coming on the podcast so we can talk a little shop and dive into a little bit about you and everything you got going on, and then also your history. Because I feel like we've. Do you even remember when we first met? Because I'm trying to remember when we first met, what the competition was. Okay.
It was at the age group CrossFit Games. And
That's
I
right.
remember, I think we literally just started talking because we both had cameras in our hands. And I think, I don't remember what we talked about, but I just remember us talking. And then I think it was maybe 10 minutes into it. I think you were you said something. I was like, wait, are you JT? And then, because I think I followed you and I had just heard about the podcast. And so I was like, oh my God, but I didn't realize it was you at the time because we were just
it's funny. It's the classic. It's the classic thing of we know each other by Instagram handles or whatever it is, and we never know each other in person. So that's
right. But. Right. So I remember that. That's where we first just started chatting.
Yeah, we've been admiring each other's work from afar because I mean, ever since that competition, I've just been doing a little snooping on your page and such on your Instagram. I just said page. I sound like I'm 90 years old, but on your Instagram profile and stuff like that, and I really like what you're doing. So, kind of curious to kind of start off our little hangout here. Your history. How did you eat? Was there an origin story of when you first picked up a camera or, anything like that? How'd you get into filmmaking and taking photos and things like that?
So in high school, I had just a general interest. And I remember taking a class in high school, very basic photography stuff. I grew up, I used to have Polaroids and just the small little cameras. My parents just got me just for fun, literally just for entertainment. And then when I went to college, I took one photography class just as an elective, but because it was something I was interested in, I just took a class, just very basic photography 101 type thing. And then once I finished college, I just started taking photos of family and friends, but nothing formal, nothing. It wasn't a business. It was just something for fun. And then I did that for a little bit, and then life happened and I got busy, and then I just stopped. I was into other things at the time.
Yeah.
But I would say what shifted was in 2022, my uncle got diagnosed with cancer. And in 2023, he got it started to take a turn and it started to get worse. And so when he was in the ICU, I'd go see him and talk with him and stuff like that. And I think really just him reflecting on life, in those conversations, and then just kind of things he liked or things he enjoyed. And it was just, I think just seeing that, I had never experienced that, seeing someone slowly kind of deteriorate like that and then kind of go through that reflection. And so he ended up passing away, unfortunately. But after that, it made me, a lot of people end up reflecting on their life when they see stuff like that or experience stuff like that. And I just kind of thought about things that brought me joy and things that I really enjoyed and just were just stress-free things. And that was when I took photos. And so I remember, and obviously it was a little different because then when I was thinking about it, I was like, well, I do CrossFit. I go to a CrossFit gym. I go to CrossFit Revamped in Laurel, Maryland. And
big shout
I was
out.
I just want to start. Yeah, shout out to them. Gary and Aaliyah Helmick are the owners. And so I asked them hey, I really would like to start taking photos in the gym. Are you guys okay with that? And they were like, yeah, go ahead. No big deal. And so I started taking it more photos, and then I just kind of like started to get my groove. And I was JT, I was rusty. Now that means there were some
Yeah.
things there. It was rusty, but I just kept doing it, and then I was getting feedback from the members of the gym that they were like really loving the photos. And it just kind of made me feel, good because that's what I want to produce is something to show like you working out and you looking really fit, right? Um, and regardless of like who they were or their background, anybody. So that kind of shifted into like I was starting to get like a lot of compliments, and then I was like, well, maybe I should try this like and actually try to make a couple bucks out of it, right?
Right.
And
Right.
then I started to like reach out to just like local affiliates, and just kind of put my name out there. And I wasn't really getting too much traction at first, because all I had was the photos from my gym. So I remember I had heard about this. It was a lifting comp, in Pennsylvania, and also I live in Maryland, so it wasn't too far in Pennsylvania, right outside of Philly. And the owner of the gym, or the owner of the I'm sorry, the comp director, his name's Taylor Williams. He owns an affiliate now. I reached out to him and I was like, hey, look, I'm just getting started. Like, I'd love to take photos at the competition. Could I make a couple bucks? Just offer packages. Like, it's not going to be ridiculously priced. And he said yes. He was like, yeah, come on. And I was like, really? And he didn't know me at all. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, I was kind of surprised, but I just went for it, and I sold some packages, and I had a blast, and it just kind of pushed me to just keep doing it and doing it. And a lot of people did not respond, or a lot of people were like not interested or whatever. But I just kept shooting and shooting and shooting, and eventually, like, I was starting to get more yeses because I was starting to show my work more. But it definitely took a while. Like, it wasn't like instant. And sometimes I would just show up places and take pictures. Um, so it was just stuff like that. And then I ended up, I want to say, yeah, I ended up going or being a volunteer at we have the Mid Atlantic Affiliate Challenge in Maryland. Um, and it's hosted by 12 Laborers. And so I volunteered on their photography team, and Taylor Jordan, who has been doing this for a while now, put me on the team, and I got to work with him a little bit, like hands on, and kind of learn some things, like in a competition, like a larger competition space. And so that was great. And then I was just like, you know what? Like, I'm just gonna keep doing this. So I was shooting like powerlifting too. I was shooting strongman competitions, and I was just kept doing it. And so eventually, like, and I have to give a little shout out, Bruce Williams, Ball Media, who everybody knows on Instagram.
Yes. Well
He's the
known.
first,
Very well known.
yeah, he's one of the first people I reached out to when I first was getting started, and he gave me some encouragement, but he also gave me some like tips about things. And I remember I actually did like a portfolio critique with him, and it was great because it really like, and not all my images that I gave him at the time were bad, but some of them could be a lot better, and like also like the intention behind the shot. And it was good because it kind of changed the way that I looked at taking photos. And so, he was like really supportive, but also having that feedback was also really important to me. And then I just applied it. And so, JT, I just kept, I want to go shoot this. I want to go shoot this. And it was starting to do like, I wanted
Yeah.
to do more CrossFit, but like a little bit above the local stuff. And so I pretty much like harassed, and I want to say harassed, but I DM'd a lot Marius from the photo video team lead from World Fitness Project.
Hmm.
And he was like very open with me and was like encouraging. He's like, well, trying to figure stuff out. And the short of it was, he was like, hey, look, I can get you a volunteer spot, apply as a volunteer. You can come shoot and learn from the team here. And I was like, bet, like, no question. I booked my flight. I flew out to Indianapolis. And literally,
Yep.
I feel like that weekend completely changed the way that I took photos after that, because I was
I
around
love that.
people that have been doing this longer. But it also helps elevate your confidence too, because you're getting real time feedback and then you're applying it real time. So, and then you're like, oh, I got this. This is what I was trying to, okay, this is what I do. Like, da, 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 da. And so with that, it just kind of like just kept moving. And so then
Mhm.
I was able to get on Syndicate Crown, their media team, back with Taylor, and I volunteered for that, which I it was worth it to me, because I also it was still just learning and applying myself, and being out on the floor and getting just getting the reps in. I feel like it's just the reps, and
Oh,
so
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
and then
you you've
it just kept
you've
going.
yeah, I was gonna say you hit on like so many different themes that like we harp on, like putting yourself
Hmm.
out there. Putting yourself in, so those initial conversations when, you were, I'm assuming you were volunteering your time mostly for your home gym there. So those initial
Hmm.
conversations, like how did you approach them back then? Was it just like, hey, I want to do this and volunteer my time and be able to just learn from it, and develop that portfolio? Or like, what was your thinking, and like, how did those conversations go?
Initially, it was just like, hey, I really would like to pick up my camera as a hobby and like restart this hobby and take photos in the gym. It was like, okay, cool. And then I was just taking a lot of photos, and what was happening was they were using the photos to put on their social media, um, to like highlight the members, and the members were liking, they were able to get more photos. And we had another photographer in the gym. But they also were like, hey, Ashley comes at different times. This could be great because we would have a more variety of people and members that
Yeah.
may not always get their picture taken. So it basically started like that. And then, we worked something out with my membership just because I was producing like so
Yeah.
much,
No, it
you know
makes
what I mean?
sense.
Like
Yeah.
for them. But it also like, it didn't, I think because I had been a member there so long and like they're my friends and they gave me like my start. So like I was just like, whatever you guys need, like if you want photos of a specific thing or a specific event, like that's just what I did. And so that's pretty much like how it started. And then it just kind of like
Yeah.
it would be like, okay, and they didn't really like, they're really laid back about like what they need, if they need specific photos of something, but it's just they want the variety, and it's just like
Right.
different movements, or like sometimes rope climbs aren't programmed, they might be only programmed like twice a month, maybe, you know what I mean, as an example. So like
Yeah.
making sure I got to rope climb day.
Yeah. Yeah. Seriously. No, that's great. I mean,
Mhm.
that's something that we constantly hit on, is like the idea of like, if, and especially if you're getting back into it, you want to get those reps, like you mentioned there. It's like, just get back in there and just volunteer at your local affiliate. And then, you take that experience and you develop that portfolio. How did you get hooked up with Bruce in Bio Media? Like, did you just like cold outreach to him, and then talk a little bit about that, how that relationship formed? Because I mean, the power of mentorship is huge. It like fast tracks like literally everything that we do. So talk a little bit about
Right.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I just sent him a DM, to be honest. And I really didn't think he was gonna respond because he has like so many followers. And I was like, he's not gonna see this. And if he sees it, it's gonna be in like 6 months. Like that's what I thought. And he like got back to me like right away, like within like a couple days. And so I just like told him like what I was trying to do. Like I'm trying to get better. What do you recommend? Like kind of initially it was like, how do I navigate the CrossFit space and the media
Sure.
space? And then
Sure.
what do you recommend as far as like honing in on the craft and things like that? Um, which was great. And I would like sometimes I would text him like, I really like this image. Like, what do you think? like, what do you think about this?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, like, it was really great to have that. And then we did the portfolio. He did a critique, um, which, like I said, I think that was just huge because you just get that feedback of like, if you angled the shot a little bit more this way, you probably would have got this, or don't cut this off because it takes away from that. And it wasn't, and he wasn't overly critical or anything like that. But those are things that I may not have been aware of until he pointed them out to me. And so now
Yeah.
when I shoot with intention. Or if I do cut something off, I'm like, I'm not delete, because to me it's like that's not a
Right.
good image. Like I know I can produce something stronger than this. But
Yeah.
it just kind of helped you. And like now Bruce, I call him Uncle Bruce.
Uncle
But
Bruce. How does he
Yeah,
feel about
but
being called an uncle? Is he okay with that?
oh, he liked it. He actually he liked it. He's fine with it. He approves.
Cool.
He definitely
No,
approves. So it's
he's a
great to
super
have like
approachable
somebody
guy.
like
He's
that.
always
Yeah.
been like a really nice, super approachable guy. Like he
Yes.
probably doesn't even like know me, but like he's been really nice to me with exchanges because I've never really like formally introduced myself, but I've seen his work and he does good
Uh-huh.
work. So that's good. That's
Yeah.
good that you have him as a mentor. What type of questions like were you asking him then? And when you're looking at your work, like is there certain things that you were like was it a side by side comparison, like looking at his stuff and like, hey Bruce, how did you get here? Or was it more of just like looking at your own work and being and deciding like, hey, how can I make this better? Like, what were the questions that you asked?
I think for me it was more so like how do I make this better? Like how do I make this image like pop? Like what about this can make it pop? And then like how do you separate like a good image from a great image? You know, like what is the difference between those two? And I think like it just goes into in your intention of when you're shooting, and then also like what you're trying to capture, and then like the background. And like I would ask him like, hey, at a CrossFit comp, like especially a local comp, like it's crowded in there. So like
Yes.
you may have somebody's like leg in the photo, and depending on where, like, you know what I mean, like you may not be able to do anything about that, but you like the photo. And so like I remember I asked him that, and he said something to the effect of like, if I realized that, I would try to do another angle so that person's leg is not in the photo, because you don't want it
Right.
to take away, right? And
Mm-hmm.
like to me, I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, but I like this picture. But then it's like it's not clean, like keep
Yes.
it clean. And like that's how my style is like very, I like to keep it clean. I don't like a lot of stuff, filters and all that, but keep it clean.
Right.
And then in
Yeah.
and he would say like limit the distractions, right?
Definitely. Yeah. And I remember we had the exchange of like, I think I told you like my dream shot was like whenever there's like a bunch of people like lined up and they were doing like the GHD sit ups
Mhm.
and just
Mhm.
getting like a bunch of people in different phases of that.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I was like, and I think you ended up getting something similar on a different movement. But I mean, you got a banger of me at WFP, so
I know.
you know, thank you.
You're welcome. I really like that picture too. I was like, "Oh,
So
okay,
like
JT,
fast
I see
tracking.
you." I was like, "This is a good picture."
Listen, I usually am pretty critical about everything that I do. Like I have this weird thing with like my hair gel doesn't really work sometimes, and like there's like
Oh my
anywho,
goodness.
that's beyond the point. But no, I was like, wow, I was like, I can't wait to show my wife this photo. You know what I mean? So I appreciate that.
No problem.
Yeah. So you have now a mentor in Bruce. You know, you have all of this background now that you've worked a bunch of different events. Like, what are you looking forward in the future? I know we're in 2026 already, but I feel like people are still like putting together like New Year's resolutions. Is there anything that you're carrying forward this year that like you're excited about, or that you want to challenge yourself in a certain way?
Yeah, I'd like to really, I've been working on my video game. So I've been trying to do more video work. And I'd really, one of my goals is to do a little bit more long form content. I know you talked about that on the podcast
Oh
recently.
yeah, you're speaking my language.
Yeah, because I do like the documentary feel. Like I've never been like a really like hype reel. That's just not me. But I think like really telling the story and like hearing athletes talk about their story is something that I really would like to do this year. That's on my list. And then I mean, I want to continue to keep, shooting CrossFit, obviously, and then shooting the events, the semifinals, if I can make a semifinal. And I wasn't able to go to the games last year. So if I could make the games, I would be really, really happy to
Yes,
do
you will
that, and to
be
maybe shoot.
ecstatic.
Yeah. To just have that experience, right? And to shoot for like an athlete at the games or like a training group at the games. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's you're talented enough to do it, so there's not that. It's
Thank
just
you.
falling into the right opportunity for sure.
Right.
I've only gone to the games twice, so by no means am I a veteran at any of that. It's just it is a very cool experience. I really like how it challenges you creatively because there are to how you mentioned it before, like there typically is like a lot of people, whether it be a lot of athletes on the floor or a lot of media people in the media pit, and it really does
Mhm.
challenge you to get like more creative with your shots.
Mhm.
So I wish I could just give you a media pass now because I wish I could have like 5 or 10 media passes. I could just invite all my friends to like, hey, come on, guys,
That
be
would
super
be
fun.
fun. I would
So,
love that. I would love that, JT.
well, maybe I can start my own like news company or whatever to get traffic. But
Yeah, JT, get to it.
no, I got enough
I'm
things on
just
my
kidding.
plate.
I'm just
So.
kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
And so that's a really cool goal to have, especially moving forward. So that long form piece of content, um, is there anything that like you've seen done that you want to emulate, like something similar? Because I know, through WFP, you guys put out like a bunch of different documentary style things and like longer form content. Are you looking more like that style, or do you have like an idea of like what you want to do with that?
I think I do like the style that those guys approached a lot of their work with the more documentary type of feel to it. But I also just really do like CrossFit, like HQ, like Road to the Game stuff. I love those. And I also like the work that Brandon from Proven BC Visions
Yes.
he
Yes.
puts. Oh, I mean, his stuff is so good. It's so good. Like when he
Hey,
was
he's
like putting
looking.
out episodes.
I was gonna say I saw the other day he's looking for a full time videographer down in Tennessee. If you want to move down there, I'm pretty sure.
I so, so I responded to him. I said, "Can I just come for a weekend?"
I love that. Hey, it's worth a shot, right? I
Yeah,
mean, you what do you miss
yeah,
100% of the shots you don't take, so might as well.
yeah. I was like, just ask him. But
No, that's
those would
super.
be the type of styles I. Those are really the type of styles I like. I do like that.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about your work. So, perusing your Instagram, we can both pull it up here. Like, is there anything in specific that you're really proud of that you did recently that you want to talk us through?
Sure. There's like a couple things. But the well, I have the two pins at the top, the Maryland game, men's basketball game I took. I love that picture. I absolutely love that
We can do
photo.
that. Let's do
He's at
that.
the
Let's do that. You want to do that?
he I love that photo. Just because it's like you see the athleticism, like he's jumping in the air, he's at the 3-point line, and then the ball is right at the top of the photo. I just love it. And then he's doing the wrist action, you know, basketball players
Yeah.
right after they take the shot through. So I just
I
I
was gonna
just
say I
love
wish
that
I looked
photo.
half as good as this whenever I shoot a basketball because it's not. I don't look anywhere close to that. That's.
Yeah,
But yeah,
and
talk
it's
us through
clean.
this. So, where were you positioned? Like, what was your thought process? Was this something that you wanted to get like beforehand, whenever you showed up, or like what? Just kind of like talk us through it, the setup.
So at that game, they assign you baseline positions. So I was like, I want to say 2 spots away from the inside of the basket. So if the basket's here, I was like 2 slots away from that. Um, and some of it is just timing because like obviously like if there's too many people inside um in the paint, then it's a wash, right? Like it's just gonna look crazy. Um, but that one, like I remember, like I knew that no one was in front of him, and I just like turned the camera and I just waited, and then because I was like, he's gonna shoot this, and there was nobody there, and then boom, and so like that's how it happened. And then some of the
Well,
other
that's.
images, and I believe, huh?
I was gonna say that's your basketball background coming into play here. You anticipated the shot like a good defender.
Oh gosh, I was terrible at basketball though, to be honest with you.
Listen, no one needs to
Hot
know
mess.
that. No one needs to know that. They're not going to know. They're not going to fact check you.
It's okay. Um, but yeah, that's where that photo, and then a lot of the rest of these, I took some of them. So I used a prime lens. I used 50 1.2 for some of the images, and then my 70 to 200 go Sony um 2.8
Yes,
on a lot of,
yes.
yeah. So I always try to get like not just like action, but like it's like not simple things, but like a player like coming down the court with the basket, like the basketball, someone at the free throw line. Like I think that's important. Them driving the lane to approach the basket, like stuff like that. Like I try to get that, and then of course you want to get any type of teammate interaction. I try to get a lot of if someone's helping someone off the floor, anytime people are like talking. Some of the photos, and this is a little off, but um, especially girls, like the girls basketball games, I'll get a lot of them huddle up and they literally hug each other, which I think is great, and it just shows like the bond that that team has.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, then I try to get the coaches, the players, maybe a fan, and then at the end of this series, I got one of the mascots. Just
Yeah, I saw that. I saw
because
that.
why
I'm
not?
looking at it right now.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, yeah. So that's basically like what it was. But you're assigned a
No,
spot, so you can't move.
well, you know what I like about it though? Like, even though you were assigned one spot, like this is a complete project. Like, I would call this like a
Mm-hmm.
project, right? Where it's like
Mm-hmm.
you can see, as you can hear it play in the background here, you can see it like it tells a story. And I think me and Chris were talking about this the other day, where it's like, what is the equivalent of like long form content for photography? And
Mm-hmm.
it's putting together a complete project that shows all the different aspects that you hit on, and it shows it in a way that actually tells a story. I mean, I can feel like I was there because I have all these interactions between the players, the key players that were in the game, they're making these plays. And then also, you got to have the fun mascot at the end. I agree. That's great.
Yeah. I was just like, this is a nice little like, and he posed, so I was like, oh, I gotta take his picture now.
He saw you. He was like,
But
oh, yeah, this is my moment.
yeah. But no, you're right. Like I think for photographers, like especially if you make a post on like social media or Instagram, but it's to tell the story of the game or the meet or the competition, and you have to mix in not just like these action shots, but like the quiet stuff. Like if a player is like, I even players tying their shoes like on the court, I think is important. Um, Someone holding a basketball, like not doing anything, but just holding the basketball, the fans, just getting all of that to basically relive what happened and let people see a glimpse of like this is what I captured, and it wasn't just this one key player, it was all of these things combined, the entire environment.
And then taking those concepts and applying it to like CrossFit, is there certain things just like basketball where it's like, I need to accomplish and grab these shots whenever you go to a competition? Let's say you're not really necessarily working for anyone or anything. You're just kind of like there for yourself. Like, in your eyes,
Hmm.
is there certain things that you would add to like a CrossFit style project?
Yeah, I mean, I think I really like getting like the quiet right before 3, 2, 1, go, because I think there's a level of focus on the athlete, and all of them. There's that quiet space where they're literally about to throw themselves into whatever this workout is. I would say, obviously, trying to get photos of the different movements of that workout, trying to get a variety of everything, not the same thing. Um, I would also say, like, if an athlete is like struggling too, because that also tells the story of the workout. If they're bent over, breathing heavy, like of course no one may want to stay, that person may not want to see that, but it also tells a story of like, here's the struggle, right? This is why we do what we do. And then if someone is like ahead and I love when someone's ahead and they're by themselves. Like I just love the way that that looks, especially like going down range, like long way. Like I
Right.
think it looks so
Right.
good. Um,
Yeah.
so and then the
For the
details
record,
too.
that is never me in any CrossFit class. I am never the person in the front trailing. I am the person that is bent over, out of breath. It literally happened 2 hours ago. Chris was there; he can attest to it. It's okay.
But I also think like the details too, right? Like the details of like the chalk bucket or the details of like wrist wraps or those small things, which also will kind of show the wad or the event. And then also like fans, your like coaches, if the coaches are visible, if you're able to get them, I think that that's important. Um, and then the finish line, obviously, if there's a celebration or if there's like any type of emotion is always, I always feel like emotion will always win. Like some of the best photos have the emotion in sports. I'll say sports photography. They have emotion,
Yes, yeah,
right? Because everybody like loves that. Like that's why they love sports, is because they like whether it's like joy or anger or just screaming, whatever it is, you know. So that's what I would say. I try to look at. And then I'm like I told you, I'm very like I try to keep it clean. So and then I try to get like a variety, like maybe someone's just their face, or maybe like depending on their movement, like upper body. But I also do try to get like the full body. I think that that is kind of clean. But I do think
yeah,
if you don't get that, depending on what you're trying to get, it still could be a great image. So, but I do try to like mix
yeah.
it up a little bit.
So that style of being clean, like how would you, to someone that might be like newer to photography, that might not, they might think they know what that means and be like, oh yeah, I got that, and then they go out and just not do it at all. How would you describe that to someone? And then is that like your style? Is the clean style? Would you say, like, is that kind of like your aesthetic?
Yeah, I when I yes, and when I say clean, like I don't really put like filters. Like I don't like a lot of filtering on images. Obviously, you know, now we can use like denoise an image a little bit because there might be grain in a photo that you may not like. So that's not what I mean. Not overly denoise, but like because
Right,
some
right,
grain
right,
is
right.
good. But
Yeah, not where it's
yeah,
like it almost looks like plastic. Yeah.
yeah, like they should still look like a person, you know. Um Yeah, they should still look like human being. But I would say like just like I was saying about Bruce, like I don't want a distraction. So like someone's foot should not be in a photo of like you have this full body of an athlete and then somebody's foot is there. I would either try to crop it so that the foot is gone, or I wouldn't post it. If it's a little bit out of focus, I'm probably like, that's because to me that's not clean. I don't like
Right.
that unless the image, the way it's supposed to be out of focus a little bit because you're trying to capture something else, and that image will speak for itself, right?
Hmm.
But I would say that like not too much filtering, you know, not too much filtering, some texture to it a little bit, but not too much filtering. And then I try to like my photos. It's so funny because like I was talking to another photographer about this, but like he prefers like images that might be a little bit darker, and I like light stuff. Like I like having it like very lit up. That's more of my
Yeah.
style. But that doesn't mean there's anything because his stuff is good. Like you know what I mean? Like his stuff looks really good. So it's also like just because his is darker doesn't mean that it's bad. Like these are really good images. But my personal taste is light stuff. But and that's important because I think people need to know like you can have your own style. That's what makes you you. So have your own style and be okay with your own style. Some people will love it and some people won't, but that's okay, right? That's okay.
What advice do you have for those people that are trying to develop their style? Like, how does one develop a certain style, or how did you develop your style?
I think just trial and error, just like trying different things. And that's where being at my affiliate, like that's where that was like my playground to like practice a lot of stuff. Even like basketball, like shooting high school basketball, sometimes I'll try different things just to see like, do I really like this? Is this good? Let me try this angle this way, or let me try like this, and just try it. Like you're not gonna know till you try like a bunch of different ways. And then eventually like you will find your groove, and then you'll be like, oh, this is it. Like it's so funny. Like this is kind of a sidebar. I was with my mom one time at her house and I was editing photos, and I was like, nope, nope. And she was like, are you gonna pick any? Like I kept hitting delete, and I was like, nope, nope. And she was like, what? And then I was like, oh. That's it. And she was like, what? And then she's like, oh, that looks good. And then I was
Well, I
like,
was like,
that's it. And I saw, I'm like, that's it. That's it. That's it. Because in basketball,
that's
you're
so
going to have a
funny.
lot of that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's so
Because
funny
she was
because we are so ruthless with like our
like,
like own shots. We're just like, especially if you shoot like a good amount of photos or whether it's video or whatever, you're just going through and you're just so like emotional about anything that you've ever like. You're just like, nope, 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 nope. Yes.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, that
I
makes
mean, yeah.
perfect sense.
And you know when you have a good, you're like, oh, that's it right there. Like that's what I tell myself, like, oh, that's it. But I think like
Yeah,
trial and error, and I think too, like, don't be afraid. Like if it's athletes that you're friends with, like try stuff out with them, right? Because like one, they're your friends and they're getting free photos. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're gonna get the pictures, but that's your chance to like just try it and see what works and what doesn't work. And eventually you will find like your groove and you'll find like what you really like and then what makes your image. But I do think that that takes just practice and it just takes reps and then not being afraid to like try the same thing and like shooting. Like one thing I told somebody at a basketball game, and he's like a newer photographer, and he was like, I saw your Instagram, like you have different, like your shots are different. And he was like, my shots all look the same. And I told him, I said, you have to shoot at a different focal length, right? Like, so try to shoot like at a different focal length. Like, don't always like,
yes,
you don't want to keep having the same shots all the time. And sometimes it's a money thing, but I was like, you go buy used stuff. Like all 90% of my stuff is used. So,
yes, yes.
like try different, that'll show a variety of shots.
Yeah, and even like renting, like a
Yeah.
cheap day lens, and stuff like that, just to try stuff out. Because and Jake hit on this was I don't remember what podcast number it was. We've been at this for a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But he talked about like the idea of like renting something before you actually buy it, whether you buy it used or new, like
Mm-hmm.
because if you think you might use it and you think you might like it and then you go and use it and then you don't like it, you're like just saved like so much money in time and
Yeah.
aggravation and stress and all of that. So a real example is Chris actually, and I don't remember the exact camera and all that kind of stuff because it's Canon and we're both not Canon people, so
No
clearly
cannon.
we're better than them. Anywho, minor jab. He's gonna yell at me. He's gonna yell at me for that later. I'm not gonna lie. But he tried out like I think like a step up from what his camera was, and like he didn't like it. He didn't like how the
Mhm.
image came out or whatever the specific things were, and like he was so glad that he rented it instead of like buying it flat out.
Right.
And I think that can't be said enough is like the idea of like, hey, you don't need like the brand new gear and have to now
Mm-mm.
cover that gear with a project, et cetera, or have a project in place and not have enough overhead so that you're actually making money and being able to, live the lifestyle that you want to.
Right. Right. 100%. Yeah. I would definitely say to rent too. Especially if you're not really sure and you're not all in. Like, mm-mm.
Yeah. Is there like a certain place that you typically rent from or like any good sources for people that are because you're always
Uh,
on the road,
yeah.
you know?
Lens Pro to go. I get a lot of stuff from them. And their shipping is included in their price. So, and they normally, yeah, I'm sorry. That's a big deal, JC.
Hey, listen,
um,
vet tip right there.
yeah. And they'll do like coupon codes sometimes. So it'll knock it down like 15% or like 20% once in a while. So I like them personally.
See, we need an Ashley promo code that
You
we can like
know,
kind of slide in there.
when you post this, we tagging them and then I'm gonna be like, "Can I have a promo code for a day?"
There we there we go. I mean, we tried to do a similar thing with Vanya. The amount of times that she said, what was it? I don't even remember, but she was dropping all these like promos to the point where like we had to cut some out. I'm like, Vanya, you're killing us here. Like we're not, no free ads.
Right.
No,
Yeah. That's where I
it's
usually get stuff though.
yeah. No, that's a good tip. Yeah, because I think there's like lens rental. In fairness, I haven't done too much renting. Usually, I just rent from my friends, like that are
Okay.
local, and I'll just like, you know, hey, I'll rent this from you, and then you get me for free for like one of your upcoming gigs, as a way to like not
Yeah.
have to exchange any funds, which
Right. Right.
they seem to be cool with it. I don't know,
I'm
but
gonna say
yeah.
if it works, yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. So, um, no, and then I think like the overarching, the really cool thing about like your story and everything you've outlined so far is like the idea of like just putting yourself out there, like
Hmm.
reaching out and just doing it, going out there and just doing it, and then learning from those experiences, relying on mentors in order to fast track your career, point out some things that you could have done better, all that kind of stuff. Is there anything else that's like really stood out to you as like ways that you've been able to, advance your career with a camera?
I would say like being like a positive, good person, like a nice person, definitely goes a long way. And like I remember that was some advice like Bruce gave me very early on is like this like industry, especially like CrossFit, is very small and people know all kinds of people and you don't know who knows who. So your reputation definitely is important. But I would just say like be positive. Like regardless, like everybody starts somewhere. But just be a positive, nice human being. Because at the end of the day, like from what I've seen and what I've found is that like if you're nice and you're open to feedback and you're positive and you're just trying to get better, people will want to continue to work with you. Even if you're not like all the way up here, right? Like all the way at the top, they'll continue to work with you because one, they know that you're going to develop into being better, but then two, you're nice to
Absolutely.
be around, you know? So I
Yes.
I do think that that is really really important and I think people can't get in their feelings or people can't like just be negative, you know? Like we all start somewhere and yeah. But I would definitely say be nice and be positive. Like your attitude will say a lot about you, you know? And treat
I,
people like
I
you would want to be treated. Like don't be rude.
I say it all the time. Like you can teach someone how to use a camera and you can teach them all the tactical things, but you can't teach them how to have a positive attitude, how to have the right mindset,
Right.
how to implement feedback, all those like intangibles. So I'll take someone that doesn't know how to use a camera, but that has all of those positive associations with them over anyone else. And
Right.
not to toot our own Desert City horn here, but that's typically what we do at Desert City is like we have that kind of like developmental program, if you will, where we're bringing people along and teaching them things and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's funny. Like I know you've been listening to the podcast, which I thank you so much, by the way.
You're
I'm
welcome.
glad that we finally got you on.
Thank you.
But like what you're saying, I think, really like people hear me say it or people hear Chris say it, but hearing it from someone else as well, and someone as well known as yourself and getting out there as much as you are and the work that you've, I mean, I hope you get so many followers from this. All of that kind of stuff. Like, I think it, I think it's really going to help people, actually take that to note instead of just like, oh, dismissing it or whatever it is, and it's important.
Yeah. And not being afraid like to talk to people either. Like just like you and I literally just started talking at age group. Like it's
Yeah,
okay to talk to somebody with
literally.
a camera in their hand too. Like they got a
Yeah,
camera, you got a camera.
exactly. Like, hey,
Just
look, if you're looking for a starting point on how to start a conversation with anyone that ever has a camera ever, ask them about their camera, and then there you go. You know,
yeah. I mean, it goes a long way, and then also like not being afraid like to reach out to people like on social media. Like if you see someone's work that you really like or admire, send them a DM. Like
yeah,
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, and if they get back to you, cool. If they don't, they don't. But it's not, you never know.
right, right, and it's I've never had a situation where anyone's been like rude or dismissive, through like
Mm-hmm.
DMs. Like everyone's super approachable, super nice,
Right.
whether it's the CrossFit
Right.
space or a different space, any creative really. I've never, knock on wood. Now I'm going to run into like 50 people at some other random corporate event or something. But typically, like everyone understand if you've been a camera operator and you've been in this business for a couple years, you have a great appreciation for what other people are going through and a better understanding of what they're going through. You
Mm-hmm.
can that's where that mentorship comes in, like we keep honing in on. I don't want to hone in on anymore, but that idea is yes, like-minded people, that's what we are.
Yes. 100%.
Cool.
100%.
Cool. Well, Ashley, I appreciate the time.
Thanks, JC.
And
Thanks for asking me to
this was
do this.
great. We
Yeah.
need to do this in person sometime at the next competition or something like that.
Yes.
I'm sure
Yes.
you're booked out and such, so we're bound to cross each other sometime.
Yeah.
Literally.
I'll just shoot your DM like, hey, are you going to be here? Are you going to Wadapalooza?
Yes.
Just like that. Are you going
As of
to
now,
Miami?
yes. Yes.
I'll see you in Miami, JC.
We'll be nice and tan too. Like it's gonna be great. It's gonna be a great time. Cool. All right. See you guys in the next one.
All right, thanks, JC.
Well, that's a wrap on this episode. Thanks for tuning in to the Capture the Reps podcast. If you're a fitness creative and you found this episode helpful, please share this with a fellow creative and keep creating, keep learning, and keep capturing those reps. We'll see you next time.